Have you ever caught yourself doing this? You finish a call with your bank where your voice was weirdly slow, calm, and professional. Then you immediately call your best friend, and suddenly your voice jumps half an octave. The words start spilling out, and you're laughing before you even finish a sentence. A few hours later, after binge-watching 3 episodes of that British detective show, you ask your partner if they fancy a cup of tea. And for a split second, there's a tiny, uninvited English lilt on the end of it. You didn't plan any of this. Your voice just shapeshifts all day long. This invisible vocal dance isn't random. It's your brain's secret social superpower at work. There's a name for this chameleon-like tendency: speech accommodation. It's our deep, often unconscious instinct to subtly adjust how we talk to match the person we're talking to. We tune our pitch, our pace, our volume, even our choice of words to get in sync. Social psychologist Howard Giles first mapped this out back in the 70s with what he called communication accommodation theory. He noticed we do one of two things. We either converge, leaning in vocally to close the social distance between us, or we diverge, leaning away to create or maintain space. Most of the time, we're converging. We're building tiny, invisible bridges with every word we say. So why is this impulse so powerful? It comes from a very old, very deep part of our brain. For our ancestors, survival depended on quickly figuring out who was us and who was them. Sounding like your tribe was a shortcut to trust. It was a clear signal that said, "I'm one of you. I'm safe. We belong together." That ancient software is still running in our modern brains. When we subtly match someone's vocal style, we're non-verbally communicating acceptance and affiliation. It's an incredibly efficient way to grease the wheels of social interaction, making the other person feel seen, heard, and validated, all before we've even gotten to the point of our story. There's another reason it's so effortless. Our brains are built for it. There's a direct, low-level link between our hearing and the muscles that control our speech. It's called auditory-motor coupling. Simply put, what you hear automatically primes how you speak. Hearing a slow, measured rhythm makes your own tongue want to move a little slower. Hearing a high, bright pitch nudges your own vocal cords to tighten just a bit. Your brain doesn't have to think, "Okay, time to slow down." It just happens, an automatic echo. This mimicry helps conversation flow, preventing us from constantly interrupting or talking over each other. When our rhythms are aligned, the turn-taking in a conversation becomes as smooth and natural as breathing. And scientists have measured these vocal echoes with incredible precision. In a classic study by psychologist David Goldinger, participants sat in a sound booth and simply repeated words they heard through headphones. When the recorded voice said "maple" with a long, drawn-out sound, the participants, without trying, would stretch their own sound to match. The effect was so strong that Goldinger found the vocal shift would actually linger for a few minutes afterward, like a temporary vocal souvenir. This proved that phonetic imitation isn't just a conscious choice, it's a low-level reflex. Okay, but can other people actually notice this? It turns out, yes, even if they can't quite put their finger on why. Researcher Valeria Pardo had pairs of strangers chat and then played clips of their speech for a third person. The listener's job was simple: decide which 2 clips sounded more alike. Over and over, people accurately picked out the clips recorded after the 2 strangers had been talking for a while. Their voices had measurably converged, enough for a total stranger to detect it. This shows that accommodation creates a real, perceptible change in how we sound to the outside world. This urge to sync up goes beyond just our voices. It's part of a broader phenomenon called the chameleon effect. In a landmark paper, researchers Tanya Chartrand and John Barg had people interact with someone who was secretly part of the experiment. This secret agent would subtly rub their face or tap their foot. And what happened? The participants started unconsciously mirroring that same behavior. The incredible part was that when people were subtly mimicked, they rated the other person as more likable and described the interaction as having gone more smoothly. Our vocal accommodation is the sonic version of this effect. It's a powerful social glue that helps us bond. Here's where it gets truly fascinating. You might think we connect over big ideas and shared passions, but one of the strongest predictors of a successful social connection is hidden in the smallest, most boring words we use. A study by James Ireland and his team analyzed the text conversations of speed daters and couples. They ignored the flashy nouns and emotional verbs and focused only on the little function words. Words like the, a, I, it, be, and on. They found that the pairs whose use of these humble words aligned, who used them in similar frequencies, were dramatically more likely to want a second date. For established couples, higher alignment predicted they would still be together 3 months later. It's like your conversational styles were holding hands under the table. Once you know what to listen for, you'll see this everywhere. In a job interview, you unconsciously match the interviewer's professional tone and formal grammar. Your usual gonna becomes a crisp going to. You're not just answering questions, you're signaling competence and that you understand the company culture. On a noisy video call with international colleagues, you'll find yourself speaking a little slower and enunciating more clearly, meeting them halfway to ensure the message lands. Even ordering coffee, you might mirror the barista's upbeat, rising intonation. Each of these moments is a tiny, successful act of connection. But accommodation isn't always about getting closer. Sometimes we use it to create distance. Remember divergence? That's when we deliberately or unconsciously emphasize the differences between our speech and someone else's. Imagine a coworker is pushing you to agree to an idea you dislike. You might find your speech becoming slower, more deliberate. Your tone might get a little flatter. You're not being rude, but your voice is building a polite fence. You're using divergence to signal, I am a separate entity, and I am holding my ground. It's a subtle but powerful way to reclaim your space in a conversation. And sometimes, trying to converge can backfire spectacularly. This is called over-accommodation, and it often feels condescending. The classic example is elder speak, that high-pitched, overly simple, sing-song voice some people use with older adults. The intention might be kindness, but the effect is patronizing. It also happens when someone tries to adopt slang or an accent that isn't their own to seem relatable. Our brains are incredibly sensitive to authenticity, and we can instantly spot a bad imitation. Instead of building a bridge, it builds a wall, broadcasting, I see you as a stereotype, not an individual. So what can you do with this knowledge? First, just notice it. Pay attention to how your voice flexes and shifts throughout the day. It's a reminder of how deeply connected we are. Second, use the social handshake wisely. In most situations, focus on matching the fundamentals: pace, volume, and general level of formality. This builds rapport naturally. There's no need to copy an accent or mimic slang you don't use. That's where you risk falling into the over-accommodation trap. Aim to meet people, not to mimic them. And if you ever feel like you're being verbally steamrolled in a conversation, try a gentle divergence. Intentionally slow your own speaking rate. Plant your feet, take a breath, and steady your tone. You'll be amazed at how it can subtly rebalance the dynamic of the entire room. Ultimately, speech accommodation is a beautiful, invisible dance. It's happening in every conversation you have. That tiny tilt in pitch, that borrowed phrase, that shared rhythm. It's your brain's way of quietly saying, I hear you, I see you, let's meet in the middle. Once you start listening for it, you'll hear the music everywhere.